you haven't invited to that yet, it's a good time.
Hey, Sharon, make me a co-host. So I'm doing the game. So that usually, I usually have this pattern, which is a terrible pattern, by the way. We talk about consistency, but I'll like ramp up and do massive activity, then I'll fade away. Then I'll ramp up, fade away. And it really messes up your momentum. So some of you guys probably feel the same way when you try to get going and you're like, okay, I'm going to rock my Juice Plus business. Sometimes it's hard, I mean, you kind of know where you should start. You got to talk to people, but it's hard to just start talking to them. You going outside? Oh, okay. So you start talking to people, but it can be awkward. Like when you're in the zone and you're talking to a lot of people, you have a lot of like Juice Plus conversations going. But then when you just get your contacts kind of hot again, you need to do some like just conversations so it's not awkward. So I'm doing a lot of those kind of reach outs. I go through my messenger. Do you guys know that I'm always surprised. Sometimes there's things I think that everybody knows, but sometimes you don't know. So let's do this. Let me share this. Here's Adriana. Adriana owns a thing called Ugly Toothpaste. It's a healthy toothpaste company. And last time I talked to her, she was working like some kind of new online marketplace. So to reconnect with her, I don't say like, hey, how's it going? I bought your toothpaste. Are you going to buy my Juice Plus? I went to high school with her, so I just say, hey, how's that online marketplace coming? And then, of course, she gives me a little update, says, how are you? And I said, hey, I'm going on to Zoom now. We'll talk later. So then, I'll call her up later. So now we got a conversation going. We talk business, we talk health. She's now started putting CBD into her toothpaste, so I'm going to talk to her a little bit about that. Anyway, so when you're on, you see how like that messenger came up? Like, what if I want to do my messenger stuff? You can go here and scroll through and like find a bunch of stuff. But do you guys know at the bottom of your messenger list, you can do see all in messenger? And that way you have like a whole screen that's literally just messenger. There is nothing else than messenger. Okay. So again, that you find that over here on this, on your messenger, and you say see all in messenger. So that's a nice little thing. For me, if I'm going to be working my messenger, I don't want to see like 15 or 20 little pop-ups across the bottom. And then, I want to be able to scroll down and get it going. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. I'm kind of warming things up, and it's amazing how quickly that happens with just a little bit of conversation. I wish I would stay more consistent, but I'm glad I'm in the action game because now I'm going to be doing that. We do have blitzes in the mornings. They're 5 days a week now, and if you're not in the action game, you can still come on the blitz. I put it in Team Transformer. It's really helpful. All right, somebody else, what are you working on?
I'm working on how do I take conversations that I'm starting with people and move them into something that could maybe result in me helping them with Juice Plus or something like that. Because I do Teamsy, and I know sometimes we can get into this mode where we just start all these conversations and we're not getting good at moving on through the process. And so that's what I'm working on.
That's good. So you know how when you are having a conversation, like so with my friend Maria, I could talk to her. Now I've reached out to her. She's talked back. I could start talking to her about her toothpaste and stuff. But you know what? If I do what we do at network meetings and we think of form, family, occupation, we got to go in good. Recreation, what's going on in her life, what's she excited about, and then M, it used to be money, but what's the other one that's better than money? Motivation. So it's more like what's she passionate about. So when you talk about like family and then jobs and this and that, no matter what, I find that there's always going to be a door that opens. It's just, I think what a lot of people do, and when I say a lot of people, I'm talking about myself, is we don't go far enough in the conversation to have a real conversation. The conversation's got to be like you're at Starbucks sitting at a table and you're shooting the breeze. If it's literally just say, if it's like to Mike, like, hey man, how's it going? Have you played golf lately? Oh yeah, played last week, shot really well, got a new putter. Cool. It's like, it's never going to get there. It's got to be, how are the kids? What's going on with school? You know, are you worried about, you know, you live in Georgia, you know, like everybody's in school or something. Are you worried about it? How are you feeling about like immune system and stuff? I mean, just bring up little things. Like you might think, oh, how do I get the conversation to Juice Plus? Maybe you don't have to get it to Juice Plus. Maybe you have to get it to the immune system. Or is everybody healthy? I mean, it's so easy right now to just say, is everybody staying healthy? Everything good? Yeah. Oh, yeah, man, we've been so lucky. Nobody's gotten sick or anything. Oh, cool. What are you doing to keep them healthy? That's a good one, too.
What do they teach TeamZ for that? Do they give you some kind of transition, Jennifer, with TeamZ?
Yeah, they try to teach that form as well. But honestly, I think that's an art form to really be able to have those conversations to where it sounds natural, especially when maybe it's someone that you haven't talked to a lot. And depending on how responsive they are in conversation at all, you know, as someone who's more introverted, that process is my hardest thing. But I've also been using Stacy's verbiage. She has this amazing verbiage. She's like, what are you guys doing right now nutritionally to support your immune system? Like, that's awesome.
You want to know a little?
I'll
You want to know a
that.
little secret? I think we got this secret from Stacy. Here's one of Stacy's secrets. What if there was a book?
I have one of those too.
Right. If there was a book that was called Exactly What to Say. There is a book called Exactly What to Say. All right. So
you
I'm
need to
gonna
pull
put
it
a
out and
link
read
to
it again then.
It's good. I do think it's an art form, but maybe it's a science too. Maybe you need to have a few of these things in your back pocket, you know?
So I've been working on this too, and I've kind of come up with a little strategy because I was feeling the same way as you, Jennifer, where I just like this week was reaching out to new people and didn't know how to transition it. So what I started doing in the last 2 days is going through my Facebook posts and just looking for people who I can tell are on some sort of a health mission. So I saw this one girl who I haven't talked to since high school, and she's training for a half marathon right now. And then I saw another girl who had posted something about how she had just become a Pilates instructor or something. So I messaged both of them and said, hey, I love your health journey. I went through a health journey a couple years ago too. I'd love to talk to you about it. I have a call with one of the girls today, and I'm working on a call with another girl tomorrow. So that's kind of my strategy, what I've been using. And then I've been using the events too. So like I reached out to all my mom friends that I know have their kids homeschooled right now. And I'm like, hey, how are you doing with homeschooling? And then I just said to them, I have this event. Would you or someone you know be interested in it? And that kind of led into the Juice Plus talk as well. So I'm trying to be a little more strategic about it instead of just randomly reaching out to people and moving into Juice Plus that way. And it seems to be working.
Okay, Gwen put some verbiage into the chat. I think that would be good, and I will post the verbiage onto the live and Team Transformers. If you guys can put some verbiage in there, that would help everybody. Karen, I love what you shared this morning as far as getting some people maybe for the Dr. Doug Odom talk for Vine Ripened Babies Thursday night, if you could share that.
Well, I stole that from you, Sharon.
I know. That's
I mean, not the post, but the idea. So, you know, Sharon had, I forget which one that was for, and we got a lot of people.
I did it with vegan or vegetarian a long time ago.
Yeah, so there's been a couple, and I do it.
The charcuterie board.
That's what it was. That's the one. And I had like 30 people comment for that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's golden. And then I forgot. like, then I just start posting the, you know, the images of the events, and then I get crickets. I get maybe 1 or 2 people that like it. And I'm just like, dadgummit. And then this morning I was like, how can the Zoom, like this action game gets me thinking again, right? Instead of just lazy. And I was like, how am I gonna, and I was like, oh my gosh, the question that Sharon, so I got on there and I just said something like, you know, who are my pregnant mommies, or somebody trying to get pregnant. And so I've gotten a couple of people, and I've posted it in other groups. And I have a friend who I really want to get started on Juice Plus, and she is like part of my dream team. I've even talked to her about it, and she wants to become a doula. And I'm like, you have to get onto this, you know, this Zoom tonight. So this is a harder market for me because I'm kind of in between. It's like 52. I don't have a lot of friends having kids, right? And then their kids aren't really ready to have kids yet. So I don't have a lot of people, but I think it's a pretty important topic. So yeah, so just asking the question, and just generic, not mentioning Juice Plus, don't do the flyer. And that would be a great thing to do with the teachers too, you know, with some of those recordings, you know, who are my teacher friends, you know?
Yeah, I've been focusing on teachers. You know, I think too, like what Karen's doing there, what she's able to do, there's another book called Fanatical Prospecting that'll really help you understand that when you're consistent. See, Karen has a pipeline, and the pipeline's very full. So she can say, hey, you got to get on here, because she has people that she's been talking to for years, you know, so we keep consistent. I did have a question for Gwen O'Rourke. So Gwen meets a lot of people on Instagram because she's a health influencer, especially with MS and things like that. So when she meets somebody in Australia, Gwen, would you send something like that to somebody you've been talking to, or is that a pretty cold prospect?
No, I've been talking to her for 4 months. Yeah. She's been on like 3 events so far now. So she's just right there. You know, she's a young girl, confused, newly pregnant, everything. You know, she's not married. She's in a foreign country. Her family's in England, and she's stuck in Australia with COVID and everything. So I'm just trying to reach out, and it's been hard. So that's why I did the time conversion for her as well, so that it would be easier for her to figure it out. Because like, I don't know what time it is over there.
So the lesson there, guys, is you learn this in Fanatical Prospecting, the book, that when you do this activity, you're not going to see fruit for months sometimes. The activity right now is what you're doing today is just getting them into the pipeline. And then they think of it as a bathtub. Like all your prospects are sitting and they're marinating. All right. So once they're not going to be done marinating for a little while, you're going to keep working on it, and they'll come around. So, but don't get frustrated. Don't like say, oh, I went on a blitz and I reached out to 30 people and I still only got 3 orders this month. It's like, hey, you know what? It's going to take a while. You're going to keep the activity going, and then you're going to see the difference later.
Well, I can testify to that. You work, and then when you choke up because you're tired of working, it screws up your business, because that's what I did at the end of May. And it totally screwed up my business. I went on vacation at the end of May and the beginning of June, and it totally stalled my business. So now, thankfully for the Summer Splash game that we're playing, because that's got my game going again. So, you know, it's all good.
The other thing is sometimes you have conversation because you're putting stuff on Facebook, you know, so sometimes you're just friending people and you're warming people up to you so that then they look at your profile and stuff. But if you post on Facebook every once in a while about Juice Plus for the Tower Garden or an event or whatever, then you're kind of just drawing them in. So I want to hear how Joy did. She went live. That's part of our action game, to also go live about something. She shared her story live. So I don't know, she's at work. But Joy, if you could share that experience, you're available. And so she did it as an interview too.
Hi.
How was it?
Yes, it was good. It wasn't as scary as I thought. I don't like going live. I prefer to do a video 5 times and figure out which one I like best and keep editing. So, but the going live is good because then people can interact with you. And since it's actually Michelle's idea to do it more like a interview style, which was good because then she could see the comments and tell them to me. And then I could, you know, talk to people who were responding. Sometimes when you're on there and you're talking, you can't see all the comments. So, but it was good. And I got some good feedback from it. So
Good. Awesome.
thanks for the push.
I know. Yes. The courage. Encouraged you. Because I knew you could do it. So who else has been going live? Any other people? I know it does take a lot. Every once in a while,
I went live yesterday
yeah, what'd you talk about?
with my tower garden.
Yeah, it's a nice
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, I just updated because I had my seedlings in there for a week. So I showed how much growth in a week on the tower garden. So just like a quick 2-minute live video, about 7 a.m. my time. So I look lovely, but I don't care. I just go on right first thing in the morning when I'm standing right there. And I just showed people, look how much it grew, because I could tell on a piece of Swiss chard had gone like from about this big to 4 or 5 inches, you know, so it had about 3 inches of growth on it. And I could show on my fingers, and then I had put some new basil plants down below on the ports down below, so I can show people as it goes. I'm gonna do that every Tuesday so people can see how fast it grows.
Nice. Consistency. Okay, and I know some people were on the Blitz this morning. Some people did like 20 messages. What were you messaging about? People who were on the Blitz this morning. That was at 8 a.m.
I like to use the Blitz to invite to the event. And so I've been inviting to the 2 events we have tomorrow night, Vine Ripened Babies and the doctor. And then we've got one, the back to school on Saturday. So just blitzing on the events.
Maybe you could put some verbiage. Did you put any verbiage? If you don't mind. And then I'll put the chat on the Facebook post. What else? Let's hear what's in your phone, guys.
Okay, I've been reaching out to team members and just asking if they had 15 minutes for a connection call today. And so that's what I blitzed this morning. And I have I've had several conversations already, and I have a few more that are scheduled for later on. So it's really just about connecting, having those conversations, looking at next steps, and setting goals and reaching for those goals and what it's going to take. Those are the conversations I've been having.
It's good. I like
How go ahead. Oh, on my phone, you talk to people, and this guy Mike, I got to the point where, and we were literally talking about the price and how to order and things like that, and all of a sudden it just went cold. So I said, hey, what's up, Mike? Have you guys talked about Juice Plus? Are you ready to get started? Just following up based on our previous conversations. And then he wrote back, haven't chatted with Laura much on it, but it's on the radar for this week to have a conversation. I said, okay, roger that. Let's touch base again. And then I said, hey, let's play golf. But sometimes it just needs to get back on their radar. Everybody's busy. It's not a no. It's just oh yeah, I got to talk to her about that. So don't feel bad about bringing it up. I know sometimes you're looking at your text and you're like, oh my gosh, they're ghosting me. I'm a freak. If I write something back now, they're gonna judge me. No, they're not. Nobody's judging you. Everybody loves you.
So the person that I gave that disappointing, that there is no way around the children's health study kind of thing the other day, I went back to that person and I said, how did it go? Do you need me to be on a conversation with you? So this is a team member who, she's a little on the outskirts, and she had asked, is there a way to work around the 3-year-old? So then she said, hi, she ordered for her son and will order for herself later. Thanks. So then I just made sure she knew about the Add More Good campaign. So she said, really? Does that include my shipment? So anyway, and then she said, I need to order some shakes for my daughter now. So anyway, just, even going back, like Doug's saying, where it might have been a couple days and you feel like the conversation was lost. It's not lost. It's just nowadays, Nowadays, you could just go back and say, hey, we left off on this or that, or just go back and continue the conversation. It's like you're juggling conversations, as many as you can. What else you guys got? I love all this verbiage. Thank you. So I'll try to read some unless somebody's going to speak up.
If I want to copy and paste some of the verbiage, that's another good tip. I keep in your notes on your phone, just keep a note that says things to say, or mine will say invite medical, invite sports, and then I'll just keep putting stuff in there. And then when I'm like, gosh, what do I say? And then, then you have something.
Okay, so it's a good idea to just copy and paste the chat, you guys. Also, there is a 3-dot thing on the chat sometimes where you can actually save it, download it. Is there anything you guys want to talk about before we go to that other Zoom?
I wanted to just suggest also, sometimes there's been so many Zooms that honestly, sometimes I am behind on Zooms. So when I do finally watch it, and I realize it's like such a good Zoom, I'll put a post about it. We had our back to school event on Thursday, and we shared so many really good, valuable tips. And I was posting about the charcuterie boards and the graze trays, and I just said, why don't I post this in my story? And I put, hey, we had a back to school event recently, and this was one of the things we talked about. There were so many other things that were really valuable. And I had like 3 or 4 people that said, could you please send me the recording? So, I know we have a lot of events coming up, but it doesn't hurt if there's an event that you really enjoyed that's already happened, that you could share like something great from that event and post it and say, this was so good, and would you like the recording?
That's great, because it sounds like you're giving value.
Yeah,
And,
that's great, Michelle.
Yeah.
Thanks, ladies.
And Michelle, when you post to, well, do you ever, hey, it's Elena. Do you ever post like in your Instagram stories? I think I've seen you say like, this event's coming up, message me for password or message me for Zoom ID. Do you do things like that? Or what's your responses when you do advertisements like that?
It's funny, when I post upcoming events, I don't get as much feedback, but then when I post that an event happened and I give like something of value that I thought was like such a great tip from that event, I get more people that request to see the recording. So I think maybe because I don't share enough of the value in the upcoming event, I don't get as much feedback. But when I do share like that one great tip that really stood out to me, then I have people clamoring for the recording. So I guess that means we need to be like making sure people understand the value of these events and like some of the things that may be discussed that may, touch them in some way.
So I think that's so important, Michelle, because I know even in South Florida, trying to go to all the live events, I would invite, and I used to have a lot of people go, but I would get somebody there for the first time and they would say, oh my gosh, that was so, like they were always surprised, like, oh my gosh, that was so good. I think there's a lot of companies out there that have kind of ruined it for people where they bring them in there and like Mary, I mean, I don't want to mention name, but like other ones where they just bring them in there and it's like just all about Juice Plus. But our doctors give such value and such other tips that, you know, it's, and so I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't want to listen to a Juice Plus, you know, recording. I think that's what people think a lot. It's 12:30. Should we go over?
All right. Yeah, they're just kind of warming it up right now. They there's a clickable link I put in there. Remember, the password is pure good. So you guys can go ahead and start transitioning over there.
See you Friday.